Hello, welcome back to the third episode of my Fireblade rebuild. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, then go back. Long story short, I had a crash at high speed, sort of 150 mile an hour, and the bike absolutely got destroyed. In the previous episodes, you will have seen how much damage we've got and some of the parts that I've been able to find. Not for free, I didn't find them, I wasn't foraging, I've had to pay for them. So in the last episode, we got the new frame, which is just down here, which you can't see on this terrible camera angle. We've got the headstock in it, so basically a rough plan is that because there's just me here, obviously lifting the engine in and out of a bike is difficult, even more difficult when there's not a big mass to the bike. So what the plan is, take the back wheel out, empty the water out, take some of the ancillaries off, so radiator, etc., remove the wiring loom, then lower the bike down the engine onto some wood, then remove the rear swing arm, then basically remove the frame from the engine, leave the engine on the floor, put the new frame over, and then, you know, job's a buck chuck, fanny's your aunt. We'll be able to build it back up, so let's crack on. So I started off by removing the coolant. I would drop the radiator later. Then I set about removing all of the wiring. So you can see I've got a marker pen in my handy and I'm marking injector 1, 2, 3, 4, coil 1, 2, 3, 4. As I've, had this bike very limited period of time, I wanted to make sure that I didn't plug anything back on incorrectly. So with all of the plugs removed and the under tray lifted away from the subframe, I was able to remove all of the wiring. Quite surprised by how much there was, even for a kit wiring loom. Here you can see me removing a couple of Jubilee clips and then removing the radiator from the bike. Here you can see me removing the rear wheel and the bike wobbling around all over. It was precariously balanced, but obviously bear in mind when I brought the bike into the garage, it wasn't exactly the most mobile of things. Here's my wife come to help me in her safety slippers to get the bike onto the floor, and then here I am finally lowering the engine down onto some wood. I then removed the swing arm, and I then spent a good deal of time trying to balance what seemed like an unbalanceable object, which was the engine and the frame. Here you can see me trying to hammer. Yep, that's not working. So I tried various things in the end. What can I reach? Oh, an impact gun, yep. So I put that under the headers, engine nearly falls over and kills someone, but eventually I managed to get it balanced. But it's quite the struggle when you can't leave go of it when you're working by yourself, as you can probably appreciate. And there we have it, one frame and engine no longer in holy matrimony. That appears to have worked. Engine, old frame, swing arm, subframe, all the wiring, new frame, radiator. So now we've just got to do, if you just rewind this, that'll be it built. Well, that's it, the new engine is in the frame, all the bolts are only in very loosely. And the reason for that is at the back of the frame. See there's a big gap. Now there's actually a bush that sits inside this part of the frame. It's a similar design on R6s, and basically when you tighten the bolt, the bush slides and then nips it. The bush then expands, so it's fixed inside of here. Now obviously the swing arm mounts between these 2 points, so if you tighten that up and you tighten these upper ones up, so there's a spacer this side, no spacer that side, and again on the front ones there's a spacer in here and no spacer on that side. So if you tighten everything up, it might be difficult to get the swing arm in, so we'll put the swing arm in now, and then I'll set about, well, probably swing arm, linkage, shock, all the main parts, then I'll set about torquing them up. Here you can see through the magic of video editing that the rear swing arm is in, as well as the rear wheel, shock and linkage. So now it's a case of torquing up the bolts. Actually, got an idea. If we look up in this gap here, can we see there? Nope. Right, so what you should be able to see as I tighten the lower engine bolt is that the spacer magically comes out of here. So let's try it. $78. So hopefully you've just seen that bush slide in. If you didn't, I'm very sorry, but I tried my hardest. Yeah, that's fine, that one. Yeah, it's ready to go, that one. So now it's time to adorn the bike with some wiring, but obviously, as you will have seen when I took it apart, we need a rear subframe in order to rest the rear under train to then get all the wiring in. Now, I decided not to go with the factory, like original Honda subframe, mainly down to cost, really. I mean, if you look at it, it's very much just a fabrication anyway. So, you know, a fabrication's a fabrication, so I went with the DB holders one. Whether or not I live to regret that decision, I don't know. Reality is we can probably straighten this out and use it as a spare, maybe. Anyway, I got the new one for considerably cheaper than what one of these costs. So I'll get out of the van and then I'll show you. So here we go, DB holders. Now, I got it from STP Race Products because it was the cheapest, £299.99, which is a little bit of a bargain if I do say so myself. That's providing it actually fits the bike, which it looks like it will. It does actually feel a little bit lighter as well, which, you know, won't hurt. I didn't get a discount or anything like that. That was the advertised price, but really friendly bloke to speak to on the phone. So yeah, good service, turned up fast. What more do I want? Anyway, let's get this fitted. There's a fair bit of wiring. That's the rear brake line. I'll leave that over there for now. And that, as I say, is that. Well, I mean, we're a long way from completion, but I've got all the wiring loom back on now. One thing what is a little bit annoying about the DB holders rear subframe is that the preload adjuster would normally go into where the pillion pegs attach. However, there are no pillion peg mountings on this side, but there are on this side because obviously that's where the exhaust mounts. Anyway, yeah, pretty pleased. I wanted to get the wiring on before I forgot where it all went, or the routing. In reality, it's actually much simpler putting it back on than it is taking it off. It's pretty much, oh, he says, as he left top injector 4 unplugged. It uses like poker yoke, which is basically where, you know, it's not possible to get wires in the same location on wrong because they have slightly different plugs. It's called poker yoke if you didn't know. Anyway, we'll do a bit more tomorrow, I think, so I'll see you there. Well, good bit of progress made. Radiator's on now, front subframe and air duct on, steering damper. I did get a new one off eBay, not because I thought the other one was damaged, although the spherical bearing was damaged, but this was, again, I say only £67, so I just thought, you know, the full front end took a good impact
if anything, it's a usable spare, I suppose. There is a little bit of a mark on the radiator, but to be honest, I think it's best just to leave that alone. Well, like I say, sort the rectifier bracket out and the rectifier, get that on, try and get all the wiring in place, and then that might be it for this episode. So the bike's looking a lot more complete now. There's obviously no forks in there, which means building up the clip-ons and things is going to be difficult, but I might have a go on the bench anyway. So steering dampers on, I've ran all the wiring, straightened out this rectifier bracket, and this front fin had snapped off the rectifier bracket, so I filed that, give it a little touch in with some marker pen. That's my rain light switch, that's the thumb brake line up here. Now, if you don't do this already, just a good idea to kind of AVM or anti-vibration mount your wiring harness is just to use a little bit of hose. This means it won't chafe, but obviously it's still able to move. Another thing, which it's probably quite obvious, but try and keep nice big loops in all of your cables rather than just having them folded over dead tight, so you know, with cable breaking. But it's looking pretty complete now. I think next job, get this GB racing cover off. Even though there's nothing wrong with it, as I said previously, I want to keep everything looking nice and new. Got the fairing brackets to go on, so once I put the fairing brackets on, I might start actually putting the fairings on. But that's for the next episode.